Are we on, are we?
We're on and live.
We're on. Here we
Once
are. Here
again.
we go again.
Bit of a different one tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of the groups that you were on the same bill with in the 1960s.
Yeah.
I've got to say groups.
There's like with the in-betweens,
When you were with in-betweens and vendors.
Yeah.
Ambrose Slade.
Yeah. There's some good ones. Yeah, I forgot how many we played with.
Well, there's probably loads that I've missed out.
I can't think of it. The only one I can think of is, like you said, I've got the Alan Price set on,
yeah.
But that's the only one I can think of, Chris. You've got everything else now.
I've got, just as the first big group, were the Hollies. Were they the first one you remember playing? The first big.
It was because in those days, like I told you, when we used to rehearse at St Charles's, a couple of times a year, John Squires, who was the youth club leader, would rent the Willenhall Baths and have the dance, if you like. They put the covers over the pool, and the first band we played with was the Hollies. And I'll tell you what, it was really weird because, like, in those days, there was no big star thing. The dressing room was just like the store cupboard on the side of the stage.
Yeah.
So and everybody was in the same room. Sort of. And Bobby Elliott had just joined the Hollies then. He replaced their original drummer, a guy named Don Rathbone, and Bobby Elliott had just joined from Shane Fenton and the Fentos, who became Alvin Stardust.
Stardust, yeah.
So I often talk to Bobby about that, and he's absolutely amazed that I remember it. But
well, you would though, wouldn't you? The sort of the vendors were a local group, and to get the chance to play with a national group like the Hollies,
it was incredible. And also in those days, because we never heard of anything else, but everybody shared the same dressing room. It was just a store cupboard on the side of the stage.
Did they have better equipment than you?
Sorry?
Did they have better equipment than you?
They had a bit bigger. I remember Graham Nash and Tony carried their AC. Well, they had AC 50s there, whereas
the Vox ones.
They got the Vox. I remember carrying their own gear in. It was unbelievable. There's a little side door, just before the dressing room, and that was it. It was carry their own gear in.
Brilliant.
It was. And I remember saying to Graham Nash, because I don't remember that, because we played with them a couple of times, and I remember saying to Graham Nash, because they recorded a Beatles song. It was a George Harrison song called "If I Needed Someone." It was a hit for them, but in those days, anybody who recorded a Beatles song was more or less guaranteed for a hit. Guaranteed a hit. And I said that to Graham Nash, in my naivety. I said, well, the only reason you recorded that was you knew you're going to get a hit. Anybody else would have probably punched me in the face, but he said, well, it's a very good song, he was being very diplomatic,
Well, that's it then.
Then Graham Nash had his then wife with him, Rose. I just remember it vividly, because they're all in the I think they had a Commer van.
And into sunny Willenhall. Fantastic. They had some good bands though. Did the Stones play? John Squire put the Stones on.
So what was that, Chris?
John Squires put the Stones on. He put some really good bands on.
Put the Stones on. Because
yeah.
I remember, because I was working at BICC then, and I had to walk past the Baths to get my bus back to Bilston, and I remember it was just after 5 o'clock, and there was queues round coming out of the Baths then for the Stones that night, and it was 7 and 6 to go in. Like less than 40p.
It's a different world though, isn't it?
That's the way it was then. I mean, there was no big star quality thing then, but
they still. I mean, they still had to play. I mean, the Beatles. Some of the venues that the Beatles played, people look back on them now and say, "How could you get the Beatles on?" But as you say, it was a job for them. And
but that's all there was then. There was no big concert things then.
No.
They used to have the big package shows at the cinemas, that kind of thing. But that was much later. I mean, I remember the Beatles. I think they played at the I'm trying to think when they played at the youth club place in Wednesbury.
They did. They played one of the Wednesbury places, Wednesbury or Wednesfield, one of the W's.
Yeah, it was Wednesbury, I think. Because I mean, I was to see quite a few good bands there. The one was a great band I saw there was Denny Lane and the Diplomats.
Yeah,
That was before, and
yeah,
there was Bevan from the Move on drums.
yeah,
You know, then they were great. They were
yeah.
great
Good,
band.
good Birmingham band, and Denny Lane,
Yeah,
fantastic.
great. Denny Lane's voice was great then.
Yeah, I've
And then,
got. We got the sort of like the rhythm and blues people, which was probably the in betweens things, wasn't it? Zoot Money
yeah.
and
You know, I'll tell you what they did. Astor did a package thing at the Civic Hall. It was 2 shows in one night.
yeah,
Zoot Money, Georgie Fame, Spencer Davis.
Alan
Um,
Price.
that I'm trying. I think that was it. Zoot Money, Georgie Fame, Spencer Davis. What's his name? Alexis Corner.
Yeah, yeah,
And the Soul Seekers, another Wolverhampton band, like a
yeah,
blues
yeah,
band. And
yeah.
I think we opened. We had about 15 minutes or something like that. But that was the same again. There was no star quality thing. Everybody was, great. Sort of,
You all mixed together, did you?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we never really spoke that much, but there was no
No.
separate dressing rooms.
Yeah.
You know, it
Was
was.
it? Was anybody's drum kit you fancied?
I think I'm trying to think who there was then. I think no. I think. No, the Georgie found the Blue Flams and Zoot Money. I'm trying to think what kits they had because like the guy with Zoot Money, that's what's it from the Police? The guitarist Andy Summers.
Yeah,
He
of
was the
course he
guitarist.
was. Yeah,
He was the guitarist of Zoot Money.
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I said that to him. Wherever it was, we were with them, met them somewhere, whatever it was, some TV, must have been a TV show or something like that. And I mentioned that to him, and he was denying it, Chris. It's like saying, no, you got that wrong. I says, no, I ain't. I know very well you were with Zoot Money, And it's really funny. He was sort of like, he was denying it. It's very
Well,
strange.
they weren't a young they weren't a young band, were they? With the Police
No,
when they became famous,
no,
they
no.
weren't
I mean,
teenagey or.
like Stuart Copeland was with Curved Air. Do you remember them? They
Yeah, yeah,
had that one hit with that girl singer, Sonia
yeah.
somebody. But yeah, I think at one point he was married to her. I mean, whether he still is, I don't know. But no, I mean,
But
George.
because the In-Betweens were very much a rhythm and blues group.
Yes, we were. Because Johnny Owls played harmonica as well.
Yeah,
We were playing like a blues type thing, and we used to do the blues nights at the Ship and Rainbow.
yeah, yeah. No, it's
And
because that was one of the reasons you. It was sort of that moddy thing as well, which is what
yeah,
you wanted to get away
it was
from.
that kind of thing. It was that
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, it was bloody boring music though, Chris. It was boring. I threatened to leave at one point. I said, if we
Why
do
was
any
it
more.
why was it boring though?
Well, it was just just dead slow, easy, sort of
Yeah,
the blues stuff we were playing, was just very slow and sort of,
yeah,
a lot of the American stuff,
yeah.
we were doing a lot of the slow blues. We didn't do any of the up tempo stuff,
Really.
but no, it was a bit boring. But I'll tell you what, though, I remember I'm just moving down the list with, like I said, with the Moody Blues, when we played the casino with them, they were fantastic.
Yeah, that was the casino in Warsaw.
Yeah, that was the original band, Denny Lane, and there was like sort of the original band. Graham Edge, who carried on with the Moody's after,
Yeah,
but I've never heard a piano so loud. It was the prominent instrument, but their harmonies were fantastic, incredible. It was great. They would really impressed me. They did. A great vocalist, sort of what's his
yeah.
name?
It's that Birmingham thing again, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's weird, the Midlands sort of vocals.
yeah.
I have this one all the time. Just
Sort of thing. Yeah, but their vocals were fantastic.
yeah.
Great.
But
But yeah,
I mean, it's like, I mean, we often talk about Nod and Robert Plant
yeah,
and Rob Alford, all
yeah,
coming off the same housing estate.
yeah.
It's mad,
It
you
is.
know.
But it's funny when you think. I mean, from Stow Law, now I can't well know, but it was about Danny Cannon and the
Yeah,
Ramrods.
yeah,
I mean, Danny Robinson lived just down the 100 yards one way, and their drummer Alan Lacey lived 100 yards the other way. There's three of us on the same estate, you know.
The sort of the Midlands thing is, I think, very much overlooked. They all go, oh, you know, the Liverpool scene
Very much
and all.
so. Very
But
much
if
so.
they, if I suppose somebody has somebody, but if they looked at the Midlands thing, the Walsall, Wolverhampton, and all the, you know, all round Stourbridge and
I mean,
Birmingham,
it's on the par with Liverpool, really.
easily.
Yeah, and
And
then there was the Red Caps from Birmingham, you know, all that way. They were fantastic. They were.
you got Idle Race, people
Yeah.
like that.
That was another band. And I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
though, going down the list, Spencer Davis Group. The first time we played with them, that was at the casino. And
Really?
we'd heard about this young kid, you know, with a voice. And there was then they turned up, and they were sort of no rollies then, setting their own gear up.
Yeah.
And there was Stevie Winwood, who was just a little spotty faced kid, you know, sort of thing. I always remember because I can't remember his name now, the drummer. But he set his drums up wearing gloves, so he didn't get finger marks on his drums. Right there. It took ages. It took forever to do it. You know, Pete York, that's his name, Pete York, and it took forever. Anyway, Spence was a great bloke, or is a great bloke, and same with Muff. I mean, Stevie never said that much. Anyway, when they started with just Spencer Davis and Muff singing. I thought, what's the I mean, we heard about this young kid, you know, with the voice, you know, and we thought, what's the big crack here? There's nothing happening. There's just Spence and Moff singing. And then he came in, Stevie Winwood came in. I just couldn't believe it. He was just like this little kid. I thought, where the bloody hell's that come from? It was absolutely unbelievable, mate. We did a few shows at the Ship and Rainbow. We played with them in Wolverhampton, and also the Civic a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they
were a fantastic band.
Again, it's the Midlands thing again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't believe where Stephen Winwood's talent came from. He's a brilliant guitarist as well, you know. So but unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to think, going down the list again. Johnny,
you play with Johnny Kidd. You were just on the same. But I think he was at the Civic.
Sorry.
I think he was at the Civic off the top of my head.
It must have been the Civic, but I remember that his guitarist Mick Green. What a fantastic player him. And you know, he joined Billy J. Crane and the Dakotas.
Yeah,
which is a strange move, you know, from being a pirate. And then joined Billy J. Crane and the Dakotas. But what a great player! Yeah, great player.
He came back in the 70s with the Pirates. They called themselves as a three-piece.
That's right. I saw the Pirates at Dingwalls in London. I went to see them. They were great.
Yeah. I forgot Mick Green. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Searchers?
The Searchers, great. I mean, we played with them at the Civic. You know, I mean, that was the original, the very original lineup from Needles and Pins with Chris Curtis on drums. I mean, I didn't know much about it then, but he must have been out of it a bit. While they were playing, he started dragging the drums around the bloody stage and all that kind of thing. Very strange. I couldn't understand what it was on about, but they had great harmonies then. Great harmonies.
I suppose because the Searchers were like with the suits and all that sort of stuff.
That's it. It was all the Liverpool thing. What it was is like with when Brian Epstein took on the Beatles, you put them in suits because they were just in leather jeans and things like that. You put them in all the bands. He took over like with the Search. You put them all in. You put them all in suits. But they were a great band, great harmonies.
Well, the publicity photographs of you in suits of the in-betweens with John and Mick and everybody, you don't look very comfortable, to be honest.
We weren't that happy really with it, you know, sort of thing. It was a strange time for us, that, you know. But I remember somebody from from Wensfield who made we had like grey jackets and dark blue trousers.
Yeah,
was one set
so,
up. And,
those photographs from in the middle of Wolverhampton when you're on the fountain and all that sort of thing.
The grey jackets and but I'll tell you what, Jim Lee, he was useless of buying clothes. He had Dave's grey jacket. He wore it for years just as a casual jacket. He would never buy anything. Jim wouldn't, you know.
What did he inherit the in-betweens one? Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he's still. I don't.
Who,
No,
whose did he have? He wouldn't have had John's.
No,
Whose did he have?
it was Dave's. It was Aces.
Was it?
Yeah, I tell you what. I tell you what we did. We actually ripped it off his back at one point. He couldn't believe it because that's all he was ever wearing. So me and I got hold of him the one time and we ripped the sleeve off. You know,
Well,
he couldn't believe it what we were doing. We just ripped the jacket off because we were so better for seeing it. You know,
that's an exclusive. That'll slide from the
I
internet.
just remember that because we actually ripped it off him. He was most upset. He was. He couldn't believe what we did.
What a you ruffian, you rough boys.
Yeah, yeah. The Barron Knights.
Baron Knights.
That must have been when the Civic used to have like work tours, like the Beatties, because they'd have the Civic and the Wolfram together.
Yeah.
They'd be open so people could go between the two.
Yeah.
They play with. I mean, they were a great band, a great sort of cabaret type thing.
Very clever.
Yeah, really good band.
They'd have to know what they were doing, wouldn't they? Again, to do all the impressions and.
No, they got it all worked out. It was very well rehearsed. They were. It was a great band.
Remember the Kinks? I mean, they were.
I'm trying to think what they played with them. It might have been one of Mark Regan's places.
I'm trying to think. I should have made a note of it, but I'd forgotten all about it. I was just going through all the.
And I thought, if I remember right, they didn't really speak a lot. They never speak to us. But I'll tell you what, though.
Tell me, Don.
Huh?
Tell me. Oh no, go on. I think I know what you're going to say, but I always like it.
What was that?
Was it Ray or Dave Davies?
With age?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Ray.
Was it Ray? Was it?
It was the Top of the Pops bar. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were on, and we were in the bar after. I mean, it actually hurt H, Chris. He thought H was wearing a wig, so he came over and grabbed it to pull it off, and it wasn't a wig, obviously, and it actually hurt Ed, but it was great because Chaz was there with us, and he got Ray by the throat up the wall, threatened to stick one on him. He really was going to, punch him out, but he actually hurt H. He did, and I tell you the same again. So I never knew whether it was a publicity thing or what, because I'm trying to think. I was in an Indian or a Chinese restaurant on the Finchley Road, and Ray and Dave both came in, and Ray was going out with Chrissy Hine then,
right.
And there was always that thing about they was always arguing, Ray and Dave, and I never knew whether it was a publicity thing. They started bloody fighting in the restaurant, and they ended up going fighting out on the street, going out the restaurant. So I never knew whether it was a publicity thing or what, but it was a weird thing. We did a festival with them as well. I'm trying to think when it was. In the 70s, probably a bit later on in Belgium.
Yeah.
It was ever so weird because we've got so much makeup on. It was just so out of context, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they weren't very good. They were not very good at all, But there you go. I mean, great record. But I found out half the time it wasn't Dave Davis on guitar. It was Jimmy Page who played guitar on that early stuff. You really got me and like that. It was Jimmy Page. And Cream. That was a good hit. The Civic.
You played Cream twice. You did the '66 one at Willenhall Baths, and then in '67 you did them at the Civic.
Civic, all right. Well, at the Baths, that long started then.
No,
it was the same again. Came their own gearing, and I'll tell you what. They were on 125 pounds. I meant to say the Hollies were on 75 pounds.
Right.
And I remember the Cream were on 125. We were on 6, and Robert Plant was on the same show.
Yeah, listen.
He was on 4. He was on, but I'll tell you what, because I said it was just the one room on the side of the stage, and Ginger Baker got his double kit set up in the room, you see. Of course, like nobody could move for this kit. And of course, there was Ginger Baker there with his long red hair, looking like a mad Viking. And I always remember, everybody was scared. Everybody was sort of standing around, scared to ask him. But Robert Plant went up and said, "Mr. Baker, would you mind just moving your drums out the way?" And he just looked at him right in the face and he just told him to F off. You know? I mean, but I'll tell you what, I remember trying to talk to Eddie Clapton. It was before the days of knowing about drugs and things like that. And he was just standing there with a cigarette in his hand and just burning away in between his fingers. And he was just staring into space. And I was trying to talk to him, and he was just total blank, you know. I thought, you know, he was so out of it, and I thought, oh, he ain't well. I thought he ain't well, you know. But it was a red. Oh, that's right, because Willenhall Bass stage was on a slope.
Yeah.
And there was a riser for the drums. Not Ginger Baker. You moved the riser. He was on the slope. Because they used to play in the line. There'd be like Jack Bruce, Ginger and Eric Clapton. They'd all be in a line together, and Ginger Baker was on the slope. You know, I've never seen that before. It's fantastic, you know. But no, I mean, they were a revelation.
So you didn't get to play his drums then?
No, you know, I was too scared to do anything with the way, like I said, it looked like a bloody mad Viking. You know, I mean, just ridiculous.
What were they like in '67 when you did them at the Civic? Did they?
What happened then? They'd it was different dressing rooms then. They'd really cracked America.
Yeah.
And they were doing a lot of the hippie stuff. I mean, I think that he got the Jimi Hendrix haircut. And, and I remember he had his guitar flat on the stage, sort of rubbing his foot up against the up and down the neck, sort of thing, doing all psychedelic type stuff. It wasn't the same as when we first played with Willenhall Bass. It was a bit too American psychedelic sort of thing, you know.
How did you go down with an audience? I'm assuming the audience came to see Cream, and they would have expected all that.
No, we held our own, you know, sort of thing. It was all right, nothing special, but we held our own. It was, you know, that kind of thing. It was okay, you know, so it was okay. But Jimmy Cliff, I'm trying to think where that might have been some of the Mar Regans.
I think you did him. You were with him a couple of times. There's a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
I would imagine a different audience again, though.
Yeah, the same thing. It was more of a Mott thing then, you know. Not like this. It was more of a Mott thing, which was, I mean, we were playing like still playing a bit of blues then, so we didn't really fit in with. I remember Jimmy Cliff. It was more like a soul thing at that particular time. Anyway, it was a bit of a mismatch, you know. Really.
Well, I was going to say the mismatch thing. I suppose. The agency, Astor, Mar Regan, whoever it was, would just say, "Oh yeah, we got such and such. Stick them on." There's no sort of there's no thought to it, is there?
There's no sort of planning as to who plays what. I mean, I remember Mar Regan's place. So she had 4 ballrooms, and you play the 4 of them in one night. You you play your 20 minutes or half an hour, pack your gear away, and go to the next one.
Yeah.
And it was going right an eternal circle. While you were on stage, another band would turn up from another place. Because there was the Plaza Old Hill, the Plaza at Answorth, the Ritz at Kingsheath, and the Cavern at trying to think where the Cavern was now. It was all part of Birmingham. Yeah. But you play each of them in one night. Yeah. You know, sort of thing.
Earned your money then?
No money really. You know, for like peanuts, but it was a gig then.
Yeah,
it was a gig, you know.
Well, it served you well, though, didn't it? Sort of.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's great training. I mean, remember we had no roadies then, you know, sort of doing our own gear. But it was just great training. Because I think that's what we always said. That's what the bands today have never had, that kind of thing. They've never had that grounding. They expect champagne and caviar in the dressing rooms these days. You know what I mean? And spring water from the streams of Colorado. Yeah, I ain't joking. That was Aerosmith. I think I told you that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
They refused to go on.
What we'll do, because this is going pretty well, is we'll do another one in the future. We'll do a 1970s and a 19
Yeah,
American and all.
but if
Do all
you've done
that. So
research on it, because it just jogged me, and now the idol race, we became great mates with them. We played with them lots at the Ship and Rainbow,
yeah,
and me and Jim went to see them a lot as well.
yeah.
You know, great blokes. I mean, Jeff Lynne then he wanted to be one of the Beatles even then, you know, and he was writing great songs as
Yeah.
well. He was
Clever.
writing great songs.
I like the stuff, the moves. It's clever stuff.
Yeah,
I'll
but
keep on saying it. I like.
this was way before that, Chris. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, their album called Birthday Party, I think, is fantastic. Really, has
Really.
some great stuff. And we copied the one song, you know, the Knocking Nails Into My House.
Brilliant.
That was his song that we put
Yeah.
on the first album.
I'm just making a note of the birthday thing.
But I think
I'll look that up. I'll have a listen to that.
about I think it was called Birthday Party, Chris.
Okay.
Something like that, you know.
Yeah.
If you get a copy, get me one, will you?
Right. I'll see what's about. I bet it's on.
I can't even remember what label it was on.
No, don't know. Probably Regal Zonophone. Regal Zonophone's a good label.
It wasn't then. No, that wasn't around then. Wriggles on a phone. That wasn't going then. And Amen Corner. Well, I remember we got a chance to. There was a package show. It was at
Yeah.
it was at
You and
Newcastle.
Amen Corner and Dave D and
That's
you.
it.
And you
there
played
was
Newcastle.
there was some at Newcastle City Hall. There was somebody
Yeah.
else as well. I can't remember, but I remember visiting the old van. We got to typical. We left on our old van. I think it broke down, so we missed the first show. You
Right.
know, we missed the first one, and I remember Chas saying, "You've got to get there. You've got to get there." We eventually got there, and we hadn't got time to even get our gear in. And Dave D's drummer Mick, he let me use his kit.
Oh,
And
right.
it was
You,
so much bigger than mine. It was so strange trying to play it, you know.
you got a
We
really good. You got.
I think we only did about three. I don't know, did three or four songs. I think I can't
Well,
remember
you
them.
got a really good review for
Did
that.
we?
Fantastic.
You have to send that to me, Chris. I don't
I
know about
will.
that.
It was either Record Mirror or the
Oh, really?
Melody Maker.
What,
But
what
you
the music
got
papers?
the Ambrose. Because it was Ambrose Slade, obviously. You got a really good review.
Oh,
I'll send it to you because I got thousands of these things,
yeah.
reviews and adverts and all that sort of stuff. So
It's
I'll,
funny when you think with Aiming Corner that that their keyboard player, Blue Weaver,
yes,
and the drummer, I can't remember the drummer's name, they ended up playing for the Bee Gees.
right,
Yeah, because I remember when we saw them in Canada in the 70s, when we got to see them, the
yeah,
Bee Gees, they were with them, you know.
oh
And
right,
but I'll tell you some stories about the Bee Gees after this. I mean
okay,
they were fantastic blokes. They were, Chris, just
really,
lovely blokes. I'll tell you afterwards. But I
okay,
remember the one when we played with the Alan Price set. I think that might have been the Civic Hall, or could have been Willenhall Baths as well.
yeah.
But I remember he didn't care at all. He was actually got a book on his organ. You know,
Yeah,
and
there's a joke there. Oh,
he was reading it while he was playing. He
right,
just didn't care at all. I thought, I can't believe that. He was reading his book, and you see him turn the pages. I'll be playing, he'll be reading the book. I mean, I don't know if it's some kind of publicity thing, but he wasn't all that nice a person, you know. But yeah.
well, I think we sort of scraped the surface there, but some good stories, which is
Yeah,
what
but
we want.
you can do some more. But like I'll tell the Bee Gees one.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, that was great. I mean,
You're being recorded. You're still being recorded.
yeah, it was in Toronto. I remember because we'd already played. We got a couple of free days, and the Bee Gees were playing the big arena, you know,
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Gardens or something. A massive 20,000 seat arena. And their tour manager at the time, Roger Forrester, he worked at Robert Stigler's when we were there for a short time. He became Eric Clapton's manager later on. Anyway, sort of, we arranged to go and see them. He says, "Oh, you got to come backstage. Yeah, you got to come backstage. I'll arrange for you to come backstage and meet the guys." He says, and he met us. Roger did. He said, "Now I'm telling you now." He says, we've got a nicknames for them. There's the 3 P heads, right? A pillhead, a pisshead, and a pothead. he said, see if you can guess who's who. And we hadn't got a clue, you know. Anyway, we walked in, and they were fantastic. But Barry was there with this massive joint, you know, sort of thing. And I'm trying to get Robin was like shoving pills down his throat, you know, sitting down, and Morris was just like slugging whiskey back like there's no tomorrow. And I was talking to Blue Weaver, and I think his name was Alan, the drummer, who was with Amen Cornet. But anyway, I was talking to Alan, you know, I said, what a great gig this, playing massive. This was before Saturday Night Fever, all that. And he said, yes, but the thing is though, Barry's a bloody nightmare. He said, because he's so stoned, he counts all the songs in. He said, but we're all waiting. He goes, okay, this is New York mining disaster. And he goes, 1, 2, 3. In the event, he said, because he's so stoned. He said it's all over the place. But I'll tell you what, though, what though, Chris, this is even before Saturday Night Fever. And I said, now we'd like to do a medley of our hits. You forget how many they've had, even before Saturday Night Fever. And it was like an hour. And they weren't playing all the song. They're only playing like a verse and maybe a chorus. And then they go into another one. And it was like going on forever. So bloody hell, incredible, really. But great bloke. When we walked in, I'll tell you, it was great because Barry there was a massive joint. He said to the other two, you know, Morris and Rob, he said, "Look out, lads." He said, "Look out, lads. Slade are here. We've got to look cool. We've got to look cool." They were so down to earth, Chris. They were great blokes. Really, really nice blokes.
Brilliant. We'll call that one. Oh, before we go, I'll remind people to go and have a look and on your Facebook page and click on the link for the Heritage Chart and vote.
Heritage Chart, that's the one.
Vote for the Don Powell Band.
Yeah, that'd be great, guys. If you're all there listening, it might shove us into the top 10 next week.
Excellent.
You'll
take your shirt off if you do, mate.
Oh no, that's a bit extra.
Right. Thank you very much, Don. Much appreciated.
Nice one, mate.
Take care.